Hey, um, we're going to do more Autodesk Inventor today. More of these parts. All right. What we have here is we're going to be doing some lofting today, as well as additive subtractive modeling and manipulating more work planes. So let's kind of hop right in and do this. So I will share my screen, hop into Inventor, which I already have fired up so we don't have to wait for it. And you can see I've got a new part ready to go. So here's going to be part 5. This one looks kind of like a house. So I'm going to start here just like I've been doing. Start new 2D sketch on my XY plane. Grab my 2-point rectangle tool. Start at the origin. Drag up in the positive X, positive Y direction. And get my overall size here, which is going to be 6 tab 5. No, 5. 5. Enter. Home key. All right. I'm going to start off, I'm going to make this little house shape here. Grab a line tool. Now that I have a line tool, here's something to note. And I get close to the center point, you notice that it snaps and turns green. That's what we want. That means it's going to be right at the center point there. So right at the center point here, I am going to touch it somewhere over there. I'm going to grab another little line, touch it somewhere over here. And notice how you can kind of see I have dotted lines connecting those two dots. That means that they're going to be constrained to being on the same plane. All right, so that lets me know that I can line them up that way. Next, I can take my distance from the top down to here. And I know right now that that needs to be 2. So 2, enter. And if I want, I can dimension this, or I can just hit escape. And what if I want to make them, collinear? I wonder if that'll work. Let's see what that does. Let's see if I can grab that point there. That's not going to let me do it with the points. What I was going to try to do is make them collinear, put them on the same plane, or coplanar, really, not really collinear. But it was not going to let me do that. I was going to cheat. We can, however, drag this line up and down this here until it lines up like that, and you see the little dotted lines. There we go. Now I know that these are both even. I don't even have to constrain that. I can also, if I want, trim some of these lines here just to make sure when I extrude the correct shape. I'm going to hit the home key, and I'm going to extrude this little house shape, and I'm going to extrude that little house shape 8. 8, enter, home key, and I have a little house, a happy little house. I'm going to grab the plane. I'm going to create a new plane. Click, drag, pull. All right, and I'm going to set this to 2. Enter. Home. Now, all I really did by clicking, dragging, and pulling was create an offset plane from a face or a plane, which you can just click that tool if it click, drag, pull is not working for you. Then I'm going to grab my work plane here, pop a new sketch on there, hit the home key, and I need to draw a little, I don't know, I'll call it a porch. All right, so I'm going to do that by creating a 2-point rectangle, making sure that it lines up with this edge, right? Make sure it lines up with that edge. And the overall size of that rectangle is going to be 4 tab 4.5. Right, there we go. And I'm going to dimension this, get it in the center. All right, so that means if that's in the center, that means this needs to be 2. That should center it for me. 2 plus 4. All right, plus what's left over, 2, because the total is 8. And we'll do the same thing. Grab the center of this, come down, and this actually needs to touch and intersect with this line. And so this is pretty easy. I'm just using simple geometric constraints because it needs to be constrained and touch right there at that edge. And I'm just going to trim some of these lines off so Inventor doesn't get too confused with me. And I can finish my sketch. I can extrude. I can select 1, 2 geometries. I can change the direction that they go through. And I am just going to say to next. To next. And that's just going to complete this as one solid shape, which is a nice happy house. Click OK. And I'm going to turn the visibility by right-clicking on this work plane and selecting visibility to turn that visibility off, and then I get a little happy Monopoly house. So make sure you go ahead and save that. All right, let's work on the next one. We're going to open up a new part 6, new 2D sketch, start on the XY plane, grab the 2-point rectangle tool, start on the origin, drag up in the positive X, positive Y direction, and I'm going to make this one 5, tab 2, enter, home. And this one is kind of an L shape, so I'm going to add the top of this little L shape, then I'm just going to cut off a corner. All right, so that means I have to go up 3 over 2, okay. So let me grab, hey, get out of my way. So I'm going to have to zoom. It's not letting me do it. I don't have a mouse. When you don't have a mouse, it's really annoying. But anyway, so what I'll do instead is I will just make a rectangle that is 2, tab 3, enter, home, grab escape, and I will use this to show you how I can move this up, down, left, right. Okay, so what I want is I want this and this here. All right, I want those to be collinear or on the same line, and I want this and this to be collinear or on the same line. Now I can finish my sketch, home. Right, so I just constrain them to the same line with collinear. I'm going to take this, I'm going to extrude both profiles, profile 1, profile 2. It is now solid, and I'm going to extrude that, let's say 8, it looks like, right? I'm going to extrude that 8, enter. Oh, and now I just want to cut off this corner, all right? And this corner starts from halfway here and goes all the way down to here. So it's very simple, just by using geometric constraints. I could count it all out, but I just happen to notice that this chamfer is nothing more than, oops, let me hit escape again because I missed. Make sure it locks to the center on this green dot, right? Where are you at? Ah, there it is, green dot. Click. Oh, I hate that. And gonna come all the way down to this corner and let it snap into that corner there. And I want to make sure I've closed geometry, and I want to cut stuff out, right? So I'm going to click and finish out a triangle. So I have closed geometry. So when I go and finish my sketch, I can extrude, cut, click OK, go back to home, and we have the shape that we want. Let's turn it a little bit here. That's the shape you see. Pretty simple, right? So instead of using a chamfer or anything like that, I just kind of looked and figured out that chamfer starts at the center and just cuts all the way down to the bottom edge. Works pretty nice. So this next one is going to be a little different. So go ahead and save that. All right. Save it. Make sure you know where you're saving it. Obviously, keep your naming convention straight so that way things don't get all confused. I'm going to generate a new part. I'm going to start a new 2D sketch. I'm going to put that 2D sketch on the XY plane. I'm going to use my 2-point rectangle tool. I'm going to start at the origin. I'm going to click and drag up in the positive X, positive Y, and I'm going to make this 10, tab 5, enter, home key on the keyboard. And now we have something a little bit more complex to do. I'm going to start off with doing...
All in-season track athletes report to the second floor for practice.
All right.
All in-season track athletes report to the second floor for practice. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to break that speaker. That speaker goes off one more time. Anyway, so let's go over here. And we need to make a V-notch here. So I'm going to make a little V-notch coming down. And this is going to go to the center. So, oh, see how it snaps to the center there? That's what I want. So I want the bottom of that V to stay at the center. Okay. And I need to dimension now this endpoint to this edge to be 1. And similarly, this endpoint to this edge, and that needs to be 1. And I'm going to trim my excess geometry out of the center using my trim tool. And I also need to remember to dimension from the bottom of this V to here, and this needs to be exactly 1. All right, so we should be pretty good to go here. So I'm going to finish this sketch. I'm going to hit the home key so we can see. All right, so this here represents the front of the geometry that you can see, and I'm not going to extrude. Okay, I'm not going to extrude. I'm actually going to create this shape. The only way to do this properly is through a loft. So in order to do a loft, you have to have 2 sketches to loft between. If you're not sure what loft does, it's right here, and you rest your cursor on there. It tells you all the different kinds of cool stuff you can do with loft and all these complex shapes you can make. Really cool. Also, you can crash your computer really easily. So, make sure you save often. So I need a new 2D sketch. Oh no, but I need a new plane first, right? Remember that? You can't do a new 2D sketch without a new plane. So what I'm going to do is I need it to be offset from the XY plane. So I'm going to say offset from plane, select my XY plane, and I'm going to offset this by the width of the part, or 5. 5, enter. And now I can start a new 2D sketch on this plane. On this plane here, hit home. And I'm going to start off by doing a rectangle again. And it's going to fit right next to that rectangle, right? So it needs to be 10, tab, 5, enter. Right? And notice it aligns exactly with that one, which is good, I think. Okay. And next, we are going to take our line tool, and we're going to create a slightly smaller V shape. Okay. And I'm going to trim that right now. And let's see now. How far down is this V notch? That V notch looks like it only comes down 2. And we have to dimension this here. And this should be 3. And here to here, 3. There we go. All right, so now we have notches that are nested. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to right click and hide the visibility here. And now we have 2 shapes that I would want to loft between. So now I can loft and loft. All right, it's going to ask me for things that I want to loft between. So I want to go from this sketch to this sketch and fill with material. And that's all I have to do. Click OK. I'm going to flip this guy around so you can see. Hey, look, that looks exactly like what's on your paper. All right, so that's loft. Again, you're just selecting 2 geometries and lofting between. And you could tell by this sample here, we could do really complex things with loft. And you can do multiple sketches and go from something really big to something really small. There's all kinds of cool stuff we can do with that. All right. When you play with it, just be careful, because sometimes you'll just end up crashing your computer, or you'll get something in a weird intersecting loop. And then, of course, you get all kinds of errors. So go ahead and save that one. And we're going to do part 8 right now. File, new part, start new 2D sketch on the XY plane, 2-point rectangle, positive X, positive Y direction. And this one's going to be 8, tab, 6, enter, home. All right. And from there, we're just going to extrude this, and then I'm going to do this through subtractive modeling, actually. And so I'm just going to extrude this 5 and just start cutting from it. Extrude, 5, enter, home, so we can see what happened. All right, so that's good. So the first thing I have to do is I need to cut, I'm just going to cut a draft in this. So this is the 5, right? Yep, that's the 5. Put a new sketch here, home. And I need to do something like this corner cuts down into here. Okay, and I'm going to go through and just make sure that there's closed geometry, even though the lines are yellow, just to go over that. I'm going to grab my dimensioning tool. I'm going to dimension from here to here, and that needs to be exactly 2. Okay. Finish my sketch, and I'm going to extrude, but I'm going to do something different here. I am going to use this option down here, okay? And that option down there, all right, that should be 8. I'm going to extrude that 8, but I'm not going to use add or subtract here. I'm going to go to intersect. So it only keeps the geometries that intersect each other. So instead of selecting the area I want to cut and just cutting it, I can select an area I would like to intersect as well. And this is your result. Okay. And then the next, I just have to nick off a corner from the bottom. So might as well start from a flat surface, new sketch, home. And we just have to nick off a corner here. Okay. And this corner we have to nick off is on the short edge, 3. So 3 by 3? Yeah, 3 by 3. So 3 is going to be half of this, I think. Well, I'll just go like this for you. And I'm actually going to draw in what I want to cut out. And then that way, I'll just dimension it. 3. That one. Three. That one, a nice equilateral triangle. Finish my sketch. Extrude. Cut. Okay. Home. Done. Alrighty. So we've gone over basically how to break down these parts to do them as quickly and efficiently as possible, which is the goal. And we also learned a new tool that's called Loft. So hopefully that was helpful for you all, and I will see you next time.